Are you ready to start Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps? Well, you've come to the right place. Hi everyone, I'm Jackie and we are enjoying life's journey on the path to financial freedom. Welcome to the channel. I make videos on goal setting, personal finance, and a little bit about our minimalist lifestyle. So if you're interested in any of those, please consider subscribing. So today I wanted to talk about Dave Ramsey's baby step number 1. Talk a little bit about what it is. I'm also going to share with you how we completed it and how long it took us to complete it. So if you're interested, then let's jump in. All right, so what is Dave Ramsey's baby step number 1? If you're not sure what the 7 baby steps are, I did make a separate video on that, so go ahead and check that out. I'll leave that linked somewhere around the video. Also, I went over the 3 key things that you needed to do before starting the baby steps. So if you are new to the baby steps, then please consider checking that out and then join us here to get started. So the first one is, the first baby step is to save $1,000 as your starter emergency fund. Now I'm going to add to this a little bit. Dave Ramsey does mention that if you are an extremely low income household, then you could go ahead and just shoot for $500. There are other financial advisors out there that will suggest that you maybe put aside 1 month of expenses. So for instance, 1 month of living expenses for us is roughly about $1,600 a month. So we could choose to say, okay, you know, I feel a little bit better doing $1,600 a month instead of $1,000. So you can kind of, you know, decide that number for yourself. But the main reason for this step is to get us out of the habit of spending everything. So if we're living paycheck to paycheck and we're spending everything and we don't have extra money to save, is to get us out of that habit and to get into the habit of saving money. Also, what it wants to do is it wants to kickstart your creative ideas of how to come up with money fast. So again, you're gonna pick which amount you want to do. I believe we probably only did $500 to start because we were low income. We're still categorized as low income, but we were even lower to the point where we were living with my dad. We couldn't even afford to live on our own. So I believe we shot for about $500. And the way we came up with that, at the time, you know, my husband was working. I actually had a dance studio. I was not getting paid from the dance studio. Basically, I kept the doors open. My teachers got paid, but I didn't pay myself the whole 3 years that I had that dance studio. And we were coming up towards the end of 3 years. And I was looking for stuff to help in my finances in the business, and I came across Dave Ramsey's zero-based budgeting, and then I came across the baby steps, and I thought, wow, this makes total sense. You know, you need to have your personal finances in order if you expect to run a business as well. So they go hand in hand. So at the time, you know, we were making some kind of dramatic changes. So I ended up taking on a night job delivering newspapers. So I started off with 1 paper route, and basically we worked every single day of the week, holidays, rain, no matter what, we worked the whole time. And I started around August of 2013 is when I started working that job. So I started off, I think I was only making maybe, you know, $600 a month or something like that. I ended up taking on a second paper route so I could make a little bit more. So I think I ended up making maybe about $800. So what ended up happening was, when I first started, I still had the dance studio. So the money I made in August just went to keep the doors open basically at the dance studio. It wasn't even to help us out still. So with September, I skipped ahead and I ended up paying off one of my debts. It was one of a smaller debt that I had. I ended up paying that off just so I could free up, you know, $50 a month of cash flow, because that's how bare minimum we were. So I kind of skipped a little bit. And then when October came, I decided to close the dance studio so I didn't have to worry about any money from the newspaper route going to the dance studio. So in October was basically that whole check in October I was able to put as our starter emergency fund. So it kind of took us, well, actually we ended up getting married. So we got married in October as well. And I mentioned I did a video on 10 things that we either stopped spending money on, we got rid of, or we didn't spend money on in order to get out of debt. And one of them was we did not have a wedding, a big wedding. We just got married at the courthouse. So yeah, so I would say it officially took us, you know, it took us a month to save it, by using the paycheck. I could have had it 2 months sooner if we had communicated our goals to each other better. So basically, like I said, I think we started off with just the $500, and then by January we had paid off, like I said, we ended up paying off 1 or 2 debts while I worked there. I only did the newspaper route from basically August to January, because then I was pregnant with Elsa, so I ended up being put on bed rest and all of this stuff, so I ended up not working after that. But I worked the newspaper route for that time. Like I said, I worked nights, so I worked 9 o'clock at night on busy days, so like Wednesday and Sundays I went in at 9, and then I was done with my route by like 5 or 6 in the morning, and then on the other days I went in at like midnight, and then I was done at like 5 or 6 in the morning. It was a decent job to take because I was basically my own boss. I was an independent contractor. You didn't have to be at the warehouse right when it opened, as long as you knew you could have your papers delivered. You had to have your papers delivered by 5 or 6 in the morning. Also, the warehouse would close at 3 in the morning, so you had to at least be there and get all your papers out of the warehouse in the car by then. So I kind of, I enjoyed that aspect of it, but the fact that we had to work every single night was a little rough. The other thing was you could have people come and help you because you were kind of like your own boss. So Ricky would actually come and help me on the 2 really busy days, and I had to fill up my car, and we borrowed my dad's car because that's how many newspapers I was delivering. I was delivering 2 routes, so I had on those big coupon days, we had like 2 car fulls of newspapers. It's pretty interesting. So you guys, so my point of that, telling you the story of how we did it, was that thinking of a creative way. So if you can take on a second job, or if you're normally at home, take on a night part-time job. Do something to kind of just help yourself get out of the situation. So like I said, I took a part-time, it was part-time, it was nights, so I was still able to be home with my daughter during the day, so we didn't have the cost of daycare. That was a huge thing, not having the cost of daycare. Like I mentioned, I officially started that job in August, but we didn't actually start saving for baby step number 1 until probably the end of October. So I would say it took us, about a month to 2 months to hit that first baby step. And like I mentioned, I did end up paying off 1 or 2 debts while we were there, just so we could have some type of cash flow, because we just had nothing. So that was my story. That was our situation. That's how we came up with the money. That's how long it took us to come up with the money. Real quick, I want to give just a few other ideas of things that you could think of to come up with the extra money. The first thing, which would be probably the fastest and the easiest, would be to sell stuff. So if you have random stuff, extra stuff, if you have an extra vehicle that you really don't need, if you have an extra TV or couches or clothes, whatever, sell some stuff on Craigslist, have a garage sale, something like that. So that's one way to come up with some extra cash, to just have that buffer put aside. But that's not a long-term sustainable thing that's going to help you to, like I said, get through baby step 2, which I'm going to talk about. Baby step 2 is the debt snowball, getting out of debt. You can get a head start on that if you want. Like I said, check out the video that I did on 10 things I stopped spending money on, or we didn't spend money on, to get out of debt. The second thing you could do, another option, is to, I mentioned before starting baby step 1, you had to get on your written budget. You had to see where you were at with all of your expenses. So now would be the time to pull out that budget and see, where are some areas that I'm overspending in? What are some things that I'm spending money on that maybe I don't even use anymore? A big one for me when I was younger was having gym memberships. Like I had a gym membership to LA Fitness, and I stopped going. I had a personal trainer. I was paying for the personal trainer, and then he moved to a different location, and then I just stopped going, and I threw away months of a membership that I didn't even go to. Same thing, I had like a Massage Envy. I had like a massage membership. By the time I woke up and canceled it, I had 8 massages that I paid for that I hadn't even used yet. So just look at things like that. You could think, oh, I'm not even using this stuff. Let me cancel it. Let me get rid of it. Like I mentioned, overspending in areas. Are you eating out more? Could you possibly start eating at home or bring your lunch to work? Things like that. And then the other thing is lowering maybe some of the necessities that you do have. Can you switch insurance companies? Or maybe you can pay more attention to your utilities and things like that. So those are other ways that you can cut costs. I think those are great things to look at, because not only is it going to help you to try to save some money to come up with the extra cash flow to save the $1,000, but now that's going to help you when you move on to baby step 2 of getting out of debt. And then the third option, like I said, is picking up more hours at work or taking on a second job, or like I said, if you're stay at home like I am, maybe picking up a part-time night job or something like that. So those are kind of the 3 tips that I have. I hope you enjoyed my story on kind of how we did it. I hope it motivates you guys. Leave me a comment below. Let me know, have you started Dave Ramsey's baby steps? What baby step are you on? And if you haven't, what made you decide to click on the video and possibly learn about the baby steps? So like I said, go ahead and check out the other videos. I'll leave them in the description box below. As always, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.